Revenge or justice? The federal grand jury indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Just how strong is the case against him? And are more indictments against other former government officials coming? Joining us is former federal prosecutor and 2024 GOP senatorial candidate for Massachusetts, John Deaton. John, it's good to talk with you again. So former Trump lawyer Ty Cobb reportedly said he doesn't believe Comey will be convicted. What are your thoughts? How strong is this case against a former FBI director?
Well, listen, a lot is going to be depending on your interpretation. There's meat on these bones. There's no doubt about it. And it's a very narrow indictment. You know, he's been charged with 2 federal counts. One is false statement before Congress, and 2, obstructing a congressional proceeding. And it's all related to him definitely leaking information. He admitted that he leaked information by giving information that was classified, his notes with meeting Trump, to his friend to give to the media in hopes that a special counsel would be appointed. And that happened. And so the question is, did he do it as director or not as director of the FBI? And a lot's going to come down to timing. But listen, the grand jury refused 1 indictment and came back with 2. So I think there's enough to get a conviction.
Well, the current director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe, FBI Director Kash Patel, they all say they have evidence that Comey was instrumental in advancing the Russia hoax, but he signed off on a request, as you know, with the FISA court based on false evidence to conduct surveillance against Carter Page. Now, there's a statute of limitations on that and other possible crimes. So is this the only shot the DOJ has to hold Comey accountable for weaponizing the FBI against Donald Trump?
This is the kicker here. Conspiracy related to national security could trigger other statutes that have a 10-year statute of limitations. So there is a chance that Comey could be indicted. If they can show coordination between Brennan and other members, McCabe, where they relied on unverified information, i.e. the Steele dossier, knowing that it was not likely to be true, but push the Russia investigation, then there could be another charge coming.
How likely are possible indictments against former DNI Clapper, former CIA Director Brennan, also for lying to Congress and other things?
Listen, I'm with you. I do not believe this is an isolated indictment and that there won't be others coming. And there is information, and how do you prove it is through text messages, signal messages, emails. And I think that Brennan and all these others, McCabe as well, have probably lawyered up and are expecting a potential indictment.
Well, how about Barack Obama? Because Gabbard, Patel, and Ratcliffe think he may have directed the altering of intelligence to advance the fake Russia narrative against Trump to destroy him and his political influence. So can a former president be indicted for his actions in office?
Well, that's a great question. And I would normally say, of course, anybody is American citizen and no one's above the law and can be indicted. But the fascinating twist here is that the Supreme Court's decision on immunity related to President Trump is probably a gift to President Obama. If, in fact, he were indicted, he would actually rely on that decision by the Supreme Court that said a president acting in his presidential capacity could be immune.
John, you know, a lot of people are saying that Gabbard is just, this is just the revenge tour. Gabbard is just coming up with things, finding things that she thinks point to this, but they really don't. What do you think of the evidence that you've seen thus far that Gabbard and others have released?
I mean, listen, if Comey didn't act the way he did, this is related to, look at the Hillary Clinton 30,000 emails where he says that she absolutely violated the law, did some wrong stuff, but it's not worth prosecuting. At the same time, he definitely pushed a narrative of that there was Trump collusion based on information that he knew was not a valid information led to a special investigation, a special counsel. Had he not acted in that way, he wouldn't have been indicted, in my opinion. So, no, I think that it's clear there's enough evidence that these individuals in our government were going to save democracy by sacrificing democracy in an effort to keep Trump out of the White House at all costs. And listen, if they violated the law, they should be prosecuted.
Well, a lot of Trump's adversaries say this only about retribution, going after those who pursued justice against him and his crimes. But there's a bigger issue about justice, restoring confidence in the rule of law, the idea that no person is above the law. So what, in your opinion, is at stake here?
Listen, we've lost faith in our institutions. We've lost faith in some of the basic norms of our constitutional republic. We've got to get back to a system of law and order, that no one's above the law. And that's why I said, at the same time, you know, the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, are saying that, look, this lawfare is that they're engaging in, that the Trump administration is engaging in, and the weaponization of DOJ, that they're calling it out. But at the same time, they're saying anyone who works with President Trump, when we get back in power, you know, you're on notice. So at some point, we've got to stop these retribution here. You stop that by holding people who violate the law accountable. That's important, because the American public believes there's two tiers of justice in America: those for the powerful who get away with it, and those for the rest of us.
John Deaton, thank you for sharing your insights. We appreciate it, John.
Thank you, Gary.